Our next speaker actually represents a certain class of people. Every year, TED honors folks who've changed, who are deemed very good change makers, people who have done stuff that is on the leading edge of what presently occurs today. One such person is our next speaker. She's a 2011 TED Fellow. For those who don't know what that is, a TED Fellow is someone who goes through a rigorous process of screening, and then at the final end, 20 are selected. These are people that are either nominated or apply to become TED Fellows, and they must have shown some exceptional skill at doing they must be exceptional people who've done things that either haven't been done before or who've created a twist to something that's already there. So our next speaker is one such person. She started an organization called Flying Doctors. She is Dr. Ola Orekunrin. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Ola Orekunrin.
And I must say, it's amazing to be here in Lagos doing a TED Talk. The first TED Talk I did was this year in Edinburgh, and then I did another one in Sendai in Japan. And it's lovely to be back home, speaking to like-minded people in a beautiful environment, my beautiful Lagos. So cheers to the team for organizing it. It's great work, and I'm sure there's been a lot of work gone into it. I'd like to start by introducing you to two people, and it's quite a somber topic, actually. I'd like to start by introducing you to Chanel. She's 8 years old. She likes jogging and chocolate and milk. And she died when she was hacked to death by a machete. And there's Ariane. She's 4 years old. She's a very, very neat little girl, and she likes cake and milk. And she died when she was stabbed in her eyes and in her head. These are just two of the victims of the Rwandan conflict, which killed over 1 million people in 1994, wiping out almost 20% of Rwanda's population. Dr. Richard and his colleagues in 2002 put together the Never Again Foundation, taking a stand in their country and saying, never again, not in Rwanda, would people turn on each other and kill in the name of ethnic differences. Never again. This is Mrs. Aung San Suu Kyi. I'm sure you all recognize her, the Burmese opposition leader. When she won the 1990 elections, she was placed under house arrest, where she remained for 15 years. Through sickness, through depression, through torture, despite the various opportunities that she had to join her son and her husband in England, she refused and decided to stand by the Burmese people, saying never again would the Burmese people be denied their fundamental right to democracy. Never again. And then there's me. I too had cause to say never again, but this time in Nigeria. When my 12-year-old sister became very, very ill, right here in Lagos, my family started to search for an air ambulance to take her from that area where she had obviously overwhelmed the level of care to an area that's more suitable for her condition. The nearest air ambulance service was in South Africa, and it would take 48 hours to activate. We did the payment and the logistics, and then we began to wait. Before that aircraft landed in Lagos, my beautiful, smart, gorgeous 12-year-old sister was dead. And that's when I too decided to say never again. Never again, not in my country. But at the time, I was a very awkward, shy, introverted, broke medical student. Who was I even to utter the words never again? But today, we operate one of the largest air ambulance services in the whole of West Africa. Our team of 44 flight physicians and 20 aircraft save lives every single day. Every day, we have the privilege, the honor of saying never again. Thank you. And I'd just like to give you an idea of some of the challenges we face in our day-to-day work. I'll start with the number 4. Nigeria ranks 4th in the world for its number of kidnappings. 10% of all the kidnappings around the world occur right here in Nigeria. The injuries that we see from these atrocious crimes include stab wounds, gunshot wounds, acid burns, and it is our job to convey these people from the areas where they've often been left for dead to more advanced facilities for treatment. 2 million Nigerians suffer severe trauma every single year. And how on earth can we get them to hospitals when 85% of our roads, as admitted by the government, look like this? Or this? Our air ambulance helps bridge that gap. 26. I'm sure this is a story that everybody is familiar with. 26 students, just a few weeks ago in Adamawa State, were killed in a terrorist attack on a university campus. They were either shot at point-blank range or had their throats slit. Our air ambulances were on standby to make sure that those students that had survivable injuries could be moved from the rural area where they were to a more suitable medical facility, which would have been completely unthinkable by road. And what does the world think about this? Well, $22.9 billion was donated by a single charity to fight the problems of HIV, AIDS, and malaria in Africa. Trauma received less than $1 million. Now, I'm not belittling the problems of infectious diseases. I'm an emergency doctor. I'm going to talk about trauma. This is why we continue to say never again. This is why we will not leave Nigeria without a service to circumvent all the problems that I've just spoken about. This is why we continue to say never again. Now, the Tomorrow's Doctors document was a very, very interesting document. It was published in 1993 by the General Medical Council in the UK. And its aim was to change the way medical training worked. So previously, I assume most doctors used to see patients as textbook presentations, as labels, as diseases. And the Tomorrow's Doctors document was revolutionary in that it changed the way we as physicians think and encouraged us to start seeing patients not just as diseases that we could look up in a textbook, but as human beings with biological, psychological, and social elements to their illnesses. However, the Tomorrow's Doctors document was designed by people that look like this, and wear clothes like this, and work out of buildings like the ones that you can see in the background, and probably spoke a bit like this. You know, the type that, you know, sits on Earl Grey and plays polo. So these people, the well-connected, the privileged, the wealthy, these were the people that were capable of saying never again at this time. But thanks to our new digital friends, anybody with a laptop can say never again. Never before in history has there been such an opportunity for people like us, the little people, to make real change. Thanks to these social networking sites now, we too have the right to say never again and be heard by millions of people across the globe. And I reckon that if Dr. Richard and his colleagues in Rwanda that I mentioned earlier, by saying never again, this is one person saying never again, could change a country, and Miss Aung San Suu Kyi said never again and changed her country, then looking around the room, I think that if everybody in this room decided to say never again, we could change the world. So I'd like to launch a new document, since I can now, since we have social networking sites and I'm allowed to, and it's called Tomorrow's Changemakers. And I'm not really looking for people like me that respond to the problems that are already created and respond to disasters. I'm looking for people that actually want to see what causes the problems in the first place and tackle the real issues. Now, this incident happened just last week when 4 Port Harcourt students were caught stealing, and they were killed without a fair trial, without any trial, and I don't think the incident was even reported to the police. So if you're looking for an issue to say never again about, this is your issue. This is the first issue that I would like to raise. This should never, ever, ever happen. And this is something that we should all say never again about. Not in our country should these barbaric acts continue to happen while we watch. Never again. So I'd like to take this opportunity to reach out to people who are like me. The shy, the introverted, the geeky, the bullied, the marginalized, the ethnic minorities, the people, those round pegs that don't quite fit in those square holes. Not the people that are searching for the consensus, but people who want to mold consensus. This is our time. Welcome to the era of the underdog. The future really isn't in big government and big contracts or big business. The future isn't in oil and gas or pharmaceuticals or agriculture. The future isn't in building a business that's supported by government contracts. The future is us. Thank you.